I don't know. We'll go. We'll see what happens. Hey, I think we're good. Maybe. I love technology. Technology is my friend, right? Isn't that what I'm supposed to say and feel and believe and all that stuff? And yes, there I is. All right. So, yes. So, what is my topic for this evening? So, I got to thinking, and I was talking to my friend Lucky, and there's just some rituals and stuff. Not necessarily rituals, but things that we might be able to do during the winter to kind of help things flow smoother throughout the year. And yes, just like any other night, if you do have a question, drop it in the chat room or give me a call, and I will do my very bestest to answer it. And if I don't have an answer, I will tell you that, hey, I don't have an answer, but I will figure it out for you, and then I will give you the answer. And I try to do that consistently. So, yeah. So, I better pop this out. The whole cleaning and everything, which actually kind of lends itself to what we're talking about tonight. You should seasonally clean. I don't think we should be doing like the deep house clean just in the spring or fall, but I think we should be doing some of the cleaning things, the deep cleaning things, throughout the year. Let's see. So Nightshade asks a question. Have I heard of an organization in Tennessee or the Southeast somewhere called Serpent Stone? Many pagan folks of various backgrounds, from the 90s-ish. So there's, I don't know. The only one that I know of with regards to the Serpent Stone, as far as a group, is often very, very associated with Skyrim. I mean, it's a Skyrim thing. Now, for those who created Skyrim, they may have done their research appropriately and gotten the information and used it accordingly. Now, there is a Serpent Stone, or Snake Witch Stone. It's a divination tool. But Serpent Stone for divination is, or Awen stones. Not necessarily ancient, I suppose, but it was considered a druidic type of divination practice. There's a book by Mark Bailey that talks about the serpent stones. Other than that, I am not 100% certain. So there. I just told you I don't know for sure. Is Lucky is in the southeast area, so maybe she can find out some more information and get back to us there. Because yeah, but the serpent stone divinations, it's a light colored stone, a red colored stone, and a black colored stone. And white is for yes, red for yourself, and the dark stone is the no. So yeah, that's just the divination side of it. So other than that, yeah, I guess there is a group, but it's more druidic. So yeah, Lucky's dropped the link as Pride of East Tennessee with TN for the abbreviation for Tennessee. It's a Facebook group. So I guess I would suggest checking that out. So yeah. And hello, Aussie. I think everybody else will trickle in at some point. Maybe, maybe not. We shall see. And either way, we'll just kind of keep on keeping on. So during the winter, I have noticed for myself, even though I don't technically have the seasonal affective disorder that is diagnosable, that you treat by, more vitamin D and the halogen lights, not the halogen light, but the artificial sunlight light bulbs and everything. Hey, Regla and Aussie. And I think everybody gets a little bit down in the doldrums a bit during the winter time, just less sunshine, and we're prone to be a little bit more introspective than we are during the rest of the year, generally. That being said, 2020 was an adventure, and there's a lot of introspection, and 2021 is going to be even more of an adventure, so probably more introspection. So what do we do? Well, there are some things you can do. Hey, Sonia. As we go through the season to help offset some of that ugh feeling, I'm the bleh, however you want to call it. There's just the meh, I think is what my son calls it. It's often frustrating because here we are, we're tripping along, getting ready for the holiday season. Yule and Christmas happens, and we're like, woohoo, we're good, and solstice and all that. And then suddenly we're first of the year, and we're like, all the excitement from the holidays and family and stuff in normal years kind of comes to a screeching halt, and then what? We're left kind of in that hangover phase. Hey, Justin. But yeah, that hangover phase from all that excitement, you got to recover. And so often I tend to view January as kind of a recovery month from the holidays, just because the holidays have always been slightly exhausting and taxing. And it's kind of a recharge month. As we move through the month of January, we're approaching Imbolc, which is a festival of Bridget, excuse me. And so we'll talk about that in a moment. And so what can we do during the winter to kind of help get rid of some of that ho-hum feeling and all that stuff, and let it go? So what do? Well, the real basic one is clean, which is kind of a dirty word. It's a 5-letter word, clean. Something I've actually been doing myself, cleaning and reorganizing the studio. I'm trying to find something, so I had to look under my desk, but the best way to look under my desk is to just move my desk, so I've been reorganizing. So here in the next week or two, there will be different backgrounds and freshening of the stuff behind me. Because, why not? It's good. And a little bit of freshening is just good for you. It gives you a breath of fresh air. It is kind of an awakening. And also, as you go through time, often we put things away in that super secret safe place. And we forget about it because it was in the safe place. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, that's where that was. And so now what? At work, we use fishing line for hanging certain things. And as we were approaching Christmas and they wanted to hang Christmas decorations, they were looking for different, the fishing line, because you can hang the Christmas ornaments and they look like they're just floating when people look in the window. Hey, Chris. And, well, nobody can find it. And I had remembered that I had seen it somewhere. And it's like, all right, well, no, I'm not going to stop because I know I've seen it. It happened to be in the miscellaneous junk drawer, of which we have a few. And Anyways, I'm like, haha, I found it. So there. And it was just put away in the wrong place. And we all do that. Maybe we get in a hurry, or maybe the right place is not the right place anymore, or maybe while using it, something else got put away in the right place that made more sense. And so it just kind of gets shuffled off to the side, and then you're like, okay, so now what do I do? Got to find a new home for whatever the thing is. And in the process, it just gets kind of put somewhere. Okay, so when I have a chance, I'll go through this thing or this pile of stuff, and I'll find a new home for all of that. Well, it's kind of what my studio ends up being like, because I get in the craft mindset, and I'm doing the things and creating the stuff, and I put things away, but sometimes I'm not quite done, and I got to go back and all of that, and suddenly it's a mess. And my organization gets unorganized. And so, yeah. So winter's a good time to go through and find those things. In part, because what are we doing? We're often stuck at home anyways. If you are someone who's generally pretty active outside, odds are good you're not as active in the winter. Not necessarily for everyone, but often that's what happens. Historically, this winter time or the winter season is when a lot of the crafts were done, because you're not really out working the fields. You're not worried about the livestock having babies, calves or kids or whatever, and so you're not actively working as hard. Yes, Justin, I know growing in the winter works just fine for you. A little bit more electricity on your power bill this year. But yeah, it's it's a good time to really focus on some of those tasks that we don't have time for when the weather's good, because we want to be outside hiking or spending time with our families and that kind of thing. Now, granted, this last year has been a little different than it has been historically, just because a lot of us were already staying home. The ability to go out and socialize with our friends and family was significantly reduced. Now, it won't always be that way, fortunately. And hold on, I gotta do this. Let's see if it'll work. We'll see. Let's see if she sets up. Miss Drama was trying to talk into the microphone. So, anyways, it's a process, of trying to figure out what it is you need to get done, and this is where lists are good. We always need a good list to keep track of the stuff that we got to get done. And it's nice because once you get the thing done, you can cross it off the list, and hey, your list gets shorter in theory. Now, I have also used a lot of sticky notes in the past, mostly because if I get something done that was written on a sticky note, I can just take the sticky note and throw it away, and woohoo, I've got the thing done. It's the reward, if you will, for getting the stuff done. And I greatly appreciate rewarding myself like that. And if you get enough of the sticky notes gone, well, hey, reward yourself with the ice cream or the chocolate or the fancy coffee or whatever it is that you need. That will help you achieve your goals. But other than that, what else is there to do? Well, you can use a planner, honestly. If you don't have one on your phone or your computer or your tablet, you can always go buy a paper one. Dollar store has them. Pretty much any place that has paper goods are going to have some sort of planner. You don't have to get something fancy. Technically, you could just use a plain old notebook. But you should sit down and write out, the different months, the different holidays that are occurring in the months, or the full moon, the new moon, significant dates that you want to pay attention to, and the things you want to accomplish for that month. And it's a way to start planning out your year a bit. Because at some point, life will get hectic again. You will be busy and you will be frustrated in trying to get all the things done. Well, if you have stopped and established your schedule kind of for the year already and what you're going to accomplish, in a way, it's you're committing to it. And then if you're part of a circle or coven or something, whether online or in person, that can help you be accountable to those goals, that's a really good thing. Because it helps keep us doing the work that we need to do to keep growing spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and that's important for our mental health, our mental well-being. And if our brains are in a good place, often that makes it easier for our bodies to be in a good place. I say often because it's not always the case, because there are exceptions to that rule, of course. But and even though the pagan calendar is often not quite synonymous with the calendar everybody else uses, it's you got to have something to write it down on that is easy to communicate with the rest of the world. It also translates fairly well to those in your family that aren't part of the pagan path. For instance, we've got a full moon coming up. The full moon in January is it's coming up. I had it saved here and wrote it down and moved on, and yeah. So the new moon was on the 13th. So I hope you wrote down your intentions. So if you write down in your calendar that you're working on, it's like on whatever new moon date. For instance, this for January is the 13th. What intentions are you setting or trying to accomplish for the next 4 weeks? And often, when we have a big goal that we want to achieve, like say you want to buy a house by the end of the year, well, that's a really, really big goal, and we need to break it down into smaller pieces, preferably bite size, that are easier to achieve. Because if you just say, okay, well, I'm going to buy a house at the end of the year, and you don't stop and think about how you're going to accomplish it, what are you going to do? How are you going to accomplish it? So you need to reverse engineer the goal just a little bit. What is it you need to do? Do you need a different job? Do you need to save money? Do you have a down payment? Do you need to talk to a lender? Do you need to find a reputable realtor? Reputable lender? Both of that, yes. Chris, thank you. So the full moon this month is going to be on the 28th, and it is the wolf moon, if I remember right. See, I remembered that part. And the wolf moon is generally when it's cold out and the wolves are howling as they're hunting, and everybody's getting ready to den up and have their cubs. The wolves will, or the coyotes, or their foxes, their kits, that kind of a thing. So the full moon being called the wolf moon, just really quick as you're writing it in your calendar. And I suppose if you guys want me to come up with a calendar that you can download off of like Facebook or the Patreon, just let me know and I can do that. But with the wolf moon coming up, it's partly because wolves were thought to be hungrier because it's the cold of the winter, and the wolves are howling to communicate with one another. Also called the center moon. Because it's approximately the middle of the winter season. In other places, it's the cold moon or the frost exploding moon, the freeze up moon, severe moon, and hard moon, because it's just bloody cold here in the northern hemisphere. So, and yes, and let's see, there was. Yeah. Well, yeah, so Sonia Oopston has new moon water instead of full moon water. And you know what? New moon water is good for intention setting. So if you are setting an intention for something you want to achieve, that's a good time to have that specific type of water. you intend to accomplish something. The Farmer's Almanac actually has really good information too. For January, there was an interesting little a poem in here by John Stoddard. The sunset embers smolder low, the moon climbs o'er the hill, the peaks have caught the alpenglow, the robin's song is still. So yes, the robins are quite quiet right now because, yeah, it's cold and they're sleeping. Generally, it's really hard to believe. Within, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, now we're going to be talking about spring and the robins will be coming back pretty quick. And, yeah, it just blows me away sometimes how fast the years go, the months go. But, so yeah, when you're writing down your calendar and what it is you're going to do and have, yes, it's good to have that calendar kit, or that calendar where you're going to write things down, your intentions, break down your goals. So for January, maybe your intent was to set up a budget for the rest of the year so you can save the money for the down payment on the house or car or whatever it is you're going to buy. And while that doesn't seem very pagan, and it isn't, it's just real life, unfortunately, which is a certain kind of magic all by itself. Other things could be like you want to commit to participating in a public get-together this year. There was something in the fridge for you, too. It's pizza. Oh. Hey, Lois. No worries. Yes, tater tots. Ooh, tater tots on a pizza. Maybe. Anyways. So the chicken in the fridge is a chicken Alfredo and bacon. So yeah, what is it you want to do? Are you looking to lose some weight? So maybe you need to develop an exercise plan and you're going to commit to, for the first month, participating only, 15 minutes every 4 days or something like that. Whatever it is you got to do to get everything in place or in line so that you're not, trying to overcommit to your goals. And we're about to go to break. So when we do that, we'll be right back and we'll pick up kind of planning out your year and talking about the full moon and different things coming up. Yeah. And I think Don will be able to join us by then because he's setting up again. We'll see you in a bit.
O Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Just to remind y'all, the call lines are open. That number's 213-233-3998. If you have a question, don't forget to drop it in the chat room or give me a call. And we'll see if we can confuse me, because, you know, that happens. Anyways, we are talking about goal setting, breaking it down, surviving the winter, all that stuff. January is a very, very good month to, get the rest of your year kind of lined out and ready. The more you can plan, in theory, the easier things are. It's easier to adapt a plan or change a plan than try to come up with something new on the fly because you forgot to make a plan. And sometimes your plans need backups because of, well, life and other people's bad driving skills. So yeah, just off the cuff, talking about the calendar and setting up a calendar for the coming year. And it's good because it gives you an opportunity or a venue to kind of plan and plot out what you're going to try to accomplish for the coming year. Attend a public ritual, if there are any, or if you have a business venture you want to start up in the coming year, what do you need to get accomplished and when? Lewis, just real quick, in YouTube, I've got a background picture. It's just someone in the snow, and it's just a random picture that I pulled from Pixabay. I get a lot of images from Pixabay because they've got some really good ones. So, just, I don't know. It's graphic. Nobody specific. Also with the calendar and figuring out what you might want, you can put in the different festivals and events that happen throughout the year. Like Samhain is in October, Yule in December, Imbolc in February, Ostara in March, Beltane in May, Litha in June, Lunasa in August, and Mabon in September. Or, reversed if you're in the southern hemisphere. And, what do you want to do? Do you want to decorate for that? Do you not want to decorate for that? What do you need to observe? Or do you need to observe something there? And you don't have to observe all of the different Sabbats. You really don't. If you want to, do it. If you don't want to, okay, fine. If there are other Sabbats that are specific to your tradition that you want to observe, write those in there. Or if you have a complicated family that, pays attention to several different things, well, write down whatever holidays you got to observe and pay attention to. Just to make life a little bit easier because you can see what's coming up, or birthdays, or anniversaries, because I have a head full of random miscellaneous information that I know that I ever really needed as badly as I seem to have stuck in my head.
Kind of like my obscure knowledge.
Yep, your obscure knowledge and forgetting to turn on your microphone.
My microphone's on. It's
right.
you.
Okay.
It's you.
You're on over here. Anyways, random knowledge. Can't remember a birthday to save my life. Or a phone number. But, yeah. Didn't touch anything.
There's a first.
Okay, I take that back. I touched the two buttons that I have permission to touch.
Like I said.
I have permission to touch two buttons on the entire
Keep going.
soundbar.
Keep going.
Yeah, anyways.
Keep going.
Someday, one of my plans is to understand this board a little bit more. Someday.
Oh, someday I'm going to have a $600 road. That would be nice.
A what?
A road board.
What's that?
It's a new board.
Is it bigger?
No, it's actually smaller.
Is it more digital, less analog?
Yes.
Oh. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Hey, MCAT.
Hi, MCAT.
I
need more tater tots.
There are more up there.
No, there aren't.
Oh, you ate them all?
Yep.
Okay. Pizza. There's salad too.
Salad. That's what I was going to have. Salad and a soft-boiled egg. Anyhow.
So, as we're approaching holidays, for instance, Imbolc coming up on February 1st. And it's a more of a Celtic holiday, I suppose. But a lot of the pagans, neo-witches, observe a lot of the Celtic holidays. And so Imbolc is the next big one. February 1st to 2nd. It starts on the evening of the 1st and goes through the evening of the 2nd. And is also associated with the lambing season. So...
The silence of the lambing season?
No, it's just the lambing season.
Oh, okay.
It's when
You're no fun.
the lambs are coming out. I watched that movie because it was interesting, not because, yeah. Anyways, basically, Imbolc means that spring is rapidly approaching and new life is going to be coming forth very soon. It's the quickening, if you will, of the year. And the original word, Imbolc, means in the belly. Basically, it means, livestock is pregnant and expecting. Sometimes it's barely visible. Sometimes your goat has triplets and looks quite pregnant. So, there's a spectrum. But often it's also the promise of renewal or of better things to come. And I think, in a way, we should really embrace Imbolc this year just because...
we need the renewal.
We need the renewal. It's the promise of hidden potential. We don't know what the rest of the year's got in store for us. It's going to be an adventure, but maybe being aware of life forces are stirring, the earth is awakening, and it's a time of hope.
Settle down, Elsa.
What?
Keep going.
Basically, we're welcoming the return of the sun. The days are getting longer, and life is happening all around us. And it's time to just let go of the past and look towards the future. Getting rid of the old stuff. That's why spring cleaning happens so often, is because you're getting rid of the debris and the dust and the dirt from last year, and you're making room for the new things, whatever it is, whether it's, the new kitties, the new puppies, new ducks, chickens. We're not getting more chickens or ducks, but you never know. Flock of turkeys running through the yard. Just there's things happening moving forward. And so with the spring cleaning, just pick a room and start cleaning. And because we are dealing with lockdown, don't be afraid to really embrace your inner OCD housekeeper. Hey, Elaine. This means clean the entire room, paint the walls, wash the walls, paint the walls. Steam clean the carpets, change all your bedding. Maybe it's time to get new bedding, new pillows. New pillows are always a good time. And in the same time, allow your mind to wander through the cleansing process, and because you're getting rid of last year's thoughts, last year's depressions and frustrations and stuff, and allowing your mind to just take that deep cleansing breath and allow room for the new things, the new inspirations, and the new thoughts. So with Imbolc, it's a good time for making wishes or dedications. New dedications maybe to a deity or your family or your ancestors or
just to yourself.
Yourself. Yep. So in a way, Imbolc is a better time for a wedding than, say, June, which is traditional in the West. Imbolc is traditionally the great festival and of honoring Brigid. Because she's a pagan goddess, of course, and She was adopted by the Christian Church as Saint Bridget. And she's the goddess of healing, poetry, and smithcraft, also the goddess of fire, of the sun, and of the hearth. She brings fertility to the land and its people and is closely connected to midwives and newborn babies. She is an aspect of the triple goddess, and at Imbolc, she is in the maiden aspect. If you want to add things to your altar or just to your space to celebrate, snowdrops, the little flowers, swan feathers, a Bridget's cross, which is just some interwoven reeds, or pine needles, or pipe cleaners, if that's what you have. White and green candles. It was interesting talking to folks at work today about how so many of our Christian grandmothers were actually witches at heart without really knowing that they were witches. Because when I think about this, ideas for your altar or things to do for your altar with the changing of the season, my own grandmother, who was very, very devout Christian, she had new stuff that she put out every season. And, for Valentine's Day in February, she would have had a lot of her Christmas stuff and January stuff, blues, silvers, and all that stuff taken away, and there'd be heart candies and heart-shaped dishes and pink and red and white stuff all over the place. And she's changing the seasons. And then as we moved into March, all the pink stuff would go away and the green stuff would come out. So there's the candles are out all the time. You just got to go find them. A Bridget cross, again, normally made from reeds or grasses. They just need to be a little bit pliable. So if you're using reeds or grasses, make sure you get them wet a bit so that they fold easy. You could use cattails or twigs or things like that. So just be aware, see what you can find. And you just bend them and interweave them. And I'm not going to explain how to do it on here because I would need something to show you. And
maybe you could do a Patreon on it. Anyhow.
Yeah, something like that. Or there's YouTube videos. Anyways, back and forth. You can make a Bridget dolly. So this would be a puppet, like similar to Don's puppet, which is on the piano. Mm-hmm. And often they can be as complex or as simple as you might wish. It's something you can make with your kiddos, so you can involve your kiddos in some of the traditions and teach them some of the aspects or some of the bits and pieces of the pagan holidays. And it is hard to figure out what to teach to your littles because there is a lot about the pagan path that is really not PG-17.
That'd be NC-17.
PG-13. I'm old enough that it makes no sense to me. That it's just all whatever. So, it's up to you what you show your kids. Just make sure you explain it. Your puppet, and you can do things with the different dollies. You could also create using like birdseed and
molasses, sugar.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say lard or molasses, sugar, and you can make they look like little gingerbread creatures or whatever as offerings for the critters outside. Seeds themselves are often considered magical. Because you plant one and it
brings forth new life.
Well, you plant one hoping that something is going to happen. I have some random seeds that I don't really know quite what will happen.
The ones you got from Wish?
No, the ones I have from Wish that I haven't planted are lotus. I haven't planted those yet. But you never know. If you have something random that you don't know what they are, I wouldn't necessarily take them out and throw them into the wind. I would maybe put them in a pot on your windowsill to see what they are first. But yeah, you know, the seeds themselves before they plant, they're full of hope. This is going to sprout into something that you want, something that you can use, something that's going to taste good, something that's good for you. And if you do bake a cake or make something that you're going to leave out for the critters, tie it to a branch with silver, white, or green ribbons.
So they can see it.
Yeah, well, silver,
Oh,
white, and
chase away the
green
deer.
are also associated with Imbolc. But yeah, if the ribbons, make sure they are natural fibers because birds will steal them and use them for their nest making. Um, and with candles, candles are often a very good representation of Brigid because they are the flame of Brigid. You can make wishes and blow out the candles. This is where birthday candles are good because they do burn relatively quickly. And you just, hey, Vinny, welcome to the chat.
Vinny Barbarino.
But yeah, the birthday candles are often kind of joy, anyways. I mean, they're happy birthday candles, and often they're sweet innocence and happiness. And so yeah, if you add a little joy to your world, light a birthday candle. Generally, don't leave candles unattended. And if you do have them, make sure you've got them in a fire safe container and you're protecting yourself from, burning things down. You don't want to burn the house down. It's not that kind of party. Some of the symbols associated with Brigid and Imbolc is the snowdrop, which is a little lovely flower. Often it's the first flower of the spring, and it pokes up during in the snow. Swans mate for life, and they represent loyalty, fidelity, and faithfulness. Swan feathers are considered a very powerful addition to an amulet because of that. Flames, Imbolc is a fire festival, and fire of all kinds are associated with Brigid. The fire of creativity, the protective hearth fire, and the fire wheel, Brigid's cross, which heralds her as a sun goddess. Brigid's cross is a traditional fire wheel symbol, often found at the hearths of homes throughout the world, and is a symbol of protection. In the archaeological digs, they've found in Ireland a hearth that was about 200 years old, I think it was, and there was a cross for almost every year engraved in the different stones around the hearth. So that was kind of interesting. Hey, Bomber. Brigid dolls, making a doll that can be included in the ceremony or ritual as indicative of the bride to bring fertility and good fortune to your home. The serpent. So in Celtic mythology, Brigid was also associated with the awakening of hibernating serpents, which would emerge, in theory, from their lair at Imbolc, which February 1st is a little early, I would think, for snakes to come out and about, but they could.
Not in Ireland.
I know, their weather's different. And traditionally, serpents are associated with creativity and inspiration. And the powerful Kundalini energies of the Eastern mysteries. Paths of earth energy were called serpent paths, and at Imbolc, they were stirred from their slumber. So, when St. Patrick is being hailed as, chasing the snakes out of Ireland, it's not actually snakes that they're talking about, it's the pagans. So, that's how he got sainted. Herbs. Wait, hold on. I skipped some. So sheep are not necessarily sacred, but they are important during Brigid festivals and Imbolc because it is the beginning of lamb season, generally. So if you want to be adventurous here in the U.S., have some ewe's milk cheese, which sounds kind of ew. Yeah. I'm not very adventurous on some food things. Imbolc colors are white and silver for purity, green for the fresh burst of life, and herbs often associated with Imbolc. The blackberry. So the blackberry is sacred to Bridget. The leaves and berries are used to attract prosperity and healing. It's considered a goddess plant, and it belongs to the planetary sphere of Venus. And I'll have a link to this particular article in the show notes. It's from Goddess and the Green Man. Coltsfoot or spunk is a herb associated with Bridget. It's emotional and physical stagnation is used to magically engender love and bring peace. If you add coltsfoot to your dishes, your food that you're cooking, generally it's a little salty and crisp. Ginger revitalizes and stimulates the fire within. Ginger is quite good for you. And helps rise that serpent energy this time of year. And because this time of year, people are tired of being all locked up in their houses and stuff, and it's time to eat the ginger to keep the colds and the flus away. Le couf. Trees associated with Imbolc are the rowan or the lewis. It's the tree assigned this time of year in the Celtic Ogham tree alphabet. Its long associations with the maiden aspect of the triple goddess. It's also known as the quickening tree and is associated with serpents. Traditionally, it protects and wards off evil. A sprig of rowan can be put near the door of your home, or a sprig could be worn for protection. Rowan berries have a tiny 5-pointed star on the bottom that is reminiscent of a pentagram. The willow is the 4th tree in the Celtic tree alphabet. And is often associated with the maiden aspect of the triple goddess. Willow is the great shapeshifter of consciousness and emotion, and symbolizes feminine energy in the lunar cycle. Its branches are flexible, expressing movement and change rather than resistance. It's a tree of enchantment and dreaming, enhancing the confidence to follow one's intuition, and inspires leaps of imagination. It's Imbolc is just a fun holiday that you should take advantage of if you can. It's a good renewal. It's a good time to flush out some of that stuff that you've accumulated over the past year, which a lot of us have accumulated a fair bit of emotional and mental debris. Yeah. You just need to do this now, Don. You got your cat. Any of the things that you do to help keep yourself in a positive space or moving towards a positive space is good. Lucky says, lockdowns have messed up many calendars for all segments of society. Truth. Very, very true. So, again, part of the reason why you should write down things and have them ready in a journal so you can say, hey, I've done this thing, or, well, you know what, I was in lockdown and there wasn't anybody allowed inside my bubble. Maybe we just all need to have a bubble to run around like Bubble Boy. That way we can keep our 6-foot distance and still hang out. And what are your thoughts, Mr. Don? Are you going to celebrate the spring in Imbolc?
I just want nice weather and to be able to go outside this year. That'd be nice. Actually get something done this year.
So you don't fall off the roof?
I didn't get anything done last year. It was just sucked.
Yeah. Even when we were kind of shut down a little bit, you were an essential employee. And were busy.
It's the only thing I did was work.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Crazy world. Yes, this next year will be quite interesting. I am not going to go into my next thing because we're almost a break
Really?
already.
Already?
Yeah,
Wow.
already. Yep. The night flies when I kind of have my head on straight. Sometimes. Hi, Olin. Yeah. Apparently they're talking about hockey.
Yep.
No, not my thing. But yeah.
Olin had to leave the portal because the hockey game was still on.
Oh, my stars.
Oh, no, it wasn't the Stars.
Okay. I've been to a hockey game. A fight broke
A
out.
fight broke out.
Or I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. However it goes. I've not been to a soccer game, so I don't know how those go yet.
It's football.
Football.
How did I just... Okay.
Anyways, so we're going to pick up cleaning out the debris from last year and moving into the next year when we come back from break with some Singing Bowl. We'll see you in a bit. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Sorry, I gotta laugh at Lucky. Lucky was commenting upon the news. Anyway, so yes, cleaning out the old and getting ready for the new. Um, if you need a little bit of sound to do it, by all means, find your favorite playlist to help you clean. It doesn't have to be, upbeat. It could be screaming, angry music if that's better for you. It could be singing bowl. So whatever helps motivate you to get up and clean and get rid of the stuff from last year. So moving forward, singing bowl. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta play the bell to get rid of the energy. Um, yeah. Probably in the next couple months, we're gonna go over the different tools that you might find on the altar and give it a little bit more attention than I did the first time around, just because there's a lot of information out there. You know, bells are often used to bring energy in or to dispel other negative energy or just energy in general. So as you're cleaning, don't be afraid to ring some bells. Get some chimes. They're often pretty affordable if you look around and see what's out there, or I don't know, get some spoons and forks and drill them and hang them up, and you have noisy chimes. There's all sorts of things you can do, guys. But yeah, often that just the ring a ding ding just puts you in the right mood to clean or to get rid of the negative energy or help you focus on the positive. Lewis, if I did 5 minutes of singing bowl, people would probably have a mutiny. That's a little too much over the radio. But very possible to find on a Patreon thing in the near future. So, there are a couple of different ways you can celebrate Imbolc, because that's what we've been doing. You could have say, candlelight dinner for just you and your significant other, or you could have it with a group of people, your friends, to celebrate the transition of the seasons. Just create a meal plan. you know, cook food that helps you set your intention for the coming year. You want to be healthy? Eat healthier. Cook healthier. If you don't know how to cook, well, you know what? If you're in lockdown, now's a good time to figure it out. Just make sure your smoke alarm works. That's the big thing. Try some of the recipes from medieval times. It can be interesting. And really, truly, roast meats, hearty breads, old-fashioned desserts. I did a hazelnut dessert dish one time that was supposedly similar to what the Pilgrim types did when they came over to the U.S. for the first time. And that was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't horrible, but let's just say if I had that choice or a leg of lamb, I probably would have gone with the leg of lamb, or venison, or rattlesnake, or pretty much anything else. But if I was hungry, it would have worked in a pinch. Just, yeah. Yeah, romantic dinner for two, or again, dinner for yourself and your favorite people. That could be your family. It could be your kids. It could be your best friends. These days, it could be over a Zoom conference. It's not quite the same level of romance, but it's possible. Put out candles. Now, If you like smelly candles, get good smelly candles that make you smile and feel good. Um, a little bit of candlelight goes a long way to just changing the ambiance and the mood of your living space. Um, if you meditate, often having some candles lit when you're meditating can help you focus on your meditation. Yes, Bomber, you can have a romantic dinner for one. Honestly, if you can't love yourself, it's a lot harder for other people to love you. So yeah, treat yourself to a good dinner. I used to do that all the time because I rarely had childcare when I was a single parent, and I would find, the rare times when I would have childcare. Yeah, I'd take myself out for dinner, glass of wine, good meal, read a book, chill out. It was great. Yes, yeah, absolutely, Bomber. Bomber says, learn to love yourself. That includes taking yourself on dates and treating yourself. Don't be afraid to be a party of one when you go out. There's a weird assumption that you must be lonely if you are going out to dinner or going to the movies or to a concert or any other event by yourself. Often, you just need to figure out a way to enjoy time with yourself. So often, we are trying too hard, if you will, to entertain ourselves by having other people around you. So, yeah, learn how to be with yourself and talk to yourself and, yeah, learn how to be just you. Let's see. You can meditate, journal. Those are good things. Go outside, enjoy the days and the increased sunlight because, yes, we need the sunlight. Very much so. And so in the store today, we had a group of like 10 people come in. They were just killing time before they got the coffee because they were all going to go on a big old long hike today. Not my choice of days to go on a hike, but you know what? If that's their gig, then go for it. There's no reason why you can't have fun when it's a little brisk and chilly outside. And yeah, embrace those temperatures. Just dress appropriately. So, leading up to Imbolc here in a couple weeks, we're still in the time of the dark goddess, if you will, and it's a good time right now to still take that pause and take a break from the stuff. You're kind of think of it as you're psyching yourself up for the cleansing as you lead into Imbolc. It's been, you may have been doing shadow work between Samhain and Yule or during, the other winter months. And so it's time to just take that deep cleansing breath and let it all out and
Let it go.
yeah,
Let it go.
exactly. Channel your inner Elsa and let it all go. And as you're trying to figure out what it is that you might need to let go, it's a good time to meditate and just focus on your own needs. There are things or aspects of your winter altar that you may still have up, like mistletoe or poinsettia. So just be aware that if you have pets, those are kind of toxic. So you don't, pets or children, you want to make sure those are cleaned up. But other things you might do is there is winter divination that you can do in the snow. I'm not familiar with most of those because I don't find myself enjoying playing in the snow as much as I used to. But still, go outside, do some stuff. The spell crafting itself can be quite unique in the winter just because the earth is moving differently. There's Now is a good time to be gathering some things in preparation for future spell work. Holly leaves are good right now. Bark is often very firm to trees, so you don't want to necessarily go peel bark and stuff because the sap isn't quite ready to run. That'll start happening probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, especially as you get closer into Imbolc and into February. So if you're into tapping trees and harvesting the syrup or the sap to make syrup, yep, go forth and do it. Just be aware that if you don't do it soon, you're going to miss out on the season. I tried to do a birch sap wine last year. It failed miserably, so I'm glad I didn't spend that much. But yeah, spent like $3 for 3 gallons. But still, yeah. It's just if you're going to experiment, and now's a good time to start experimenting or figure out what it is you want to experiment with. If you haven't taken your Yule tree or your Christmas tree down, well, it's a good time to do it and say thank you for its donation if you have a real tree. Yeah, some people keep a branch of their tree as a keepsake or as a wand, if you will, for the coming year. I have never met a fir tree that I liked that much that I wanted to keep any of it around. But yeah, you can collect snow, clean snow, if you have it available, to cleanse your home because snow does have different energetic properties than rainwater or stormwater. You can also melt snow water. Hey, Kai. And use it for different spell work, if that's what you need. Melted snow technically can be used year-round for magical workings. So especially if you need that colder energy, if you will, in something you might use later. Same with ice. You can collect icicles or chunks of ice. You can keep them in your freezer, or you can melt them and keep them in a jar. Just you want to label it so people don't drink it.
Moon ice.
Yeah, moon ice. Yeah. And if you don't have ice because you're not quite, or not in a region that gets quite cold enough to have ice outside, well, moon ice. Take moon water and freeze it. So yeah. If you have a problem or something come up in the winter that you're not quite ready to deal with, you can make a note or either write your problem on a piece of paper or symbols or whatever of that particular problem. Put it in some sort of container that you can go in the freezer, and if you have melted snow water or spring water, you put it in the container with the piece of paper and freeze it. And just keep it frozen until you're ready to deal with that particular problem. So say grief happens, for whatever reason. Maybe somebody passed and you're not quite ready to deal with the grief because you don't have the time or the energy, or you have too many other commitments. You can put the grief kind of on a shelf until you have a chance to deal with it appropriately. I don't recommend doing that for very long because it will kind of clog up other things. But say you need new tires on your vehicle, but you don't have the dollars yet because tires are bloody expensive. You write it down on a piece of paper, put it in the jar, freeze it. But also, with the new moon, set your intention that you're going to be able to afford the right tires. So, pyromancy is something that's as a divination, through fire gazing. So if you have a fireplace, now's a good time to have a fireplace going, and you can gaze into the flames of your fireplace. I wouldn't sit too close because you don't want to burn your face, your eyebrows, or your whiskers. But or if you don't have a fire, a candle works just fine. Allow your eyes to unfocus and think of a question or area of your life that you might need guidance or help or suggestions, and just see what happens. Often visions themselves won't be seen in the fire itself, but within your mind's eye. Does spending time on ice have energetic qualities? Well, it depends. Are you fishing?
Are you trying to raise your body temperature? It's not very conducive to that.
Well, um, if you're ice fishing, I've found fishing to be quite therapeutic
Sure.
and meditative, especially since um, since I stopped fishing with my son because he hooked me about one time out of 5. Um, but yeah, ice can have different energetic qualities. I'm going to tell you to research it because it's not on the front of my mind and I can't spit it out. So there. Um, do your own research. But yes, there is some energetic energy. Grounding itself, if you can stand to have your cold piggies out in the snow, grounding in the snow is very, very good for you. Letting that frustration and stuff just bleed out into the snow and go away. When you are doing pyromancy, by the way, journal it. What are you writing down? What are you doing? And yeah, be safe with with the lights, the candles, the fire, all of that. You can burn petitions or requests or intentions, whether in a fireplace, in your cauldron, your candle, etc. Mini-Me wanted to write a letter to my grandmother, her great-grandmother, and kind of her namesake. And so she wrote this letter, and she's like, all right, so since great-grandma's dead, how do we get the letter to her? Like, the first thought, my brain kind of cramps up. It's like, oh my gosh, how is she's not old enough to be thinking like that. On the other hand, it's like, oh, well, that's cool that she's trying to think outside of the box. Very complicated feeling. But yeah, basically you burn the letter, and as it goes up in flames, the smoke goes up into the atmosphere, the ether, and the message is transferred, in theory, to the person who has passed on. So, just talk about someone who's very open to the whole process. It's kind of fun doing stuff with her because she's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense, and just rolls with it. She doesn't question it. She doesn't doubt it. When we had to put our old dog down here the other day, she was sad when it happened, but she was very cheerful and laughing by the end when we left the vet, because she's like, okay, well, he's off, playing tag and chasing the other dog. And she's sad, but at the same time, she's, embracing life in a different way. So, letting that intention go and do. And, sometimes we need to follow our children. They have the best insights. When you have the opportunity, you can combine ice and snow and fire in your spell work. It's a great way to use the elements of the season in your magical working. So yeah, melt the snow or melt the ice over your open fire as you're doing the things, and yeah, it's good. it's an adventure, so it's a way to learn things. The winter is we're meditating and such. It's a good time to, spend time focusing on the winter deities, because sometimes the winter goddesses or the winter gods will speak to you or talk to you, communicate with you. Set your intention before you start doing the meditation. It's like, hey, I want to reach out and talk to the deities. So winter goddesses, for instance, would be Skadi or Skathi. She's a Norse goddess. Holda, also Norse or Germanic. Demeter, Morana, it was Slavic. Frigga, which is Norse. Bera, which is Celtic or Scottish. Kion, which is Greek. Amaterasu, which is Japanese. And Bonadea, which is Roman. Let's see. It's frustrating. Everybody's like, woohoo, here's the goddesses. But it's frustrating because sometimes it's like some of the deities or some of the articles are all about the one gender or the other. And so this list was nice, but it was only the feminine, not the masculine. And so Manx, Calyx, which is a deity, a god. Let's see. There's one for the Aztecs, but
Probably can't pronounce it.
no, we just like Chihui, you know.
How's it spelled?
It's ItztlaColiuh. So it's the Colioqui, I think, or something like that. Let's see. I had where there we go, I think. Blast. You ever click on a link thinking, woohoo, this is great, and then you're like, nope, sorry, that wasn't the right one. Balder. Baelor. Let's see. Estonia Pesta. Lord of the Cold Weather. He was responsible for providing protection to the sacred otter. That's kind of the short list there. So, the deities often didn't want to participate in the winter because it was cold. They were more interested in having fun in the sun. So, lucky. I was looking for the winter gods, and I had a list, and they kind of went away. So, let's see. What is this one? So, I'm gonna kind of, do your research before you do the deity search, or talking to the deities and looking for the winter deities. Often, as you're meditating on any one specific one, you want to make sure you're kind of focused on the right one, the one that your attention is called to. And it's not like, hey, Balder, or hey, Olin, do you have a phonetic pronunciation of that one? I'm kidding. I have it. Maybe I don't have it. I thought I did, but I don't.
Oh, brought up Jackson Crawford. That's awesome.
What's that?
Jackson Crawford.
Yeah.
He does a lot of...
the pronunciations?
Well, no, he does a lot of Pagan videos. It's actually kind of cool.
Oler. That's what it is.
Oler, yeah.
Yes, Jackson Crawford has some really great videos. Very, very technical.
Yes.
Uller. So say, hey, Uller, I want to sit down and have a fireside chat with you. You want to come hang out? Well, if you don't know the different aspects of Uller, that's not necessarily the right deity to talk to, because maybe Balder is who you should be talking to instead. So, you gotta pay attention and do the research. Make sure the deity that you're talking to or reaching out to is the correct one. Because if not, you might get the wrong message, or they might give you the message and you might hear it wrong, kind of like a bad game of telephone tag. So, anyways, we're just about to our last break already, which is crazy. Tonight's just kind of flying by. Let's see. Yes, the show notes will include the different websites I've used here. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Sorry, I'm starting to fade. It's been a long weekend. It was a long week, and it's a long weekend. And Elaine, so does Kimber. Apparently, she just came down to say hi and scratched at the door. So we're off to break. And any questions? Now's a good time to get them in the chat room, and we'll cover them when we come back. Otherwise, you can always call in, of course. That number again is 213-233-3998. So we'll see you in a bit.
Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.
Songs of love.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. I am joined tonight by Don Longbeard.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
You're not eating pizza or ice cream or salad?
No, I'm done.
For now.
I still need that salad, though.
All right. It's in the fridge. There's even tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
Yeah, yes, those. So, um, tonight we've been talking about the upcoming holiday, Imbolc, with the calendar. We talked a little bit about the wolf moon, getting in touch with the winter deities, and there are quite a few. And I got to thinking, let's spend the last 30 minutes, unless someone pops up with a question, just a little bit about, I would say, mental health. Because as we are dealing with January, and it's often, the recovery month, if you will, from the holidays and such, there's some depression. Maybe you overspent for the holidays. Maybe you didn't spend enough. Maybe you're frustrated because with the COVID, you weren't able to work, and so you couldn't buy the stuff you normally do because, well, life. And, similar to the common cold, honestly, depression, it's pretty normal, guys and gals. It's not bad to be depressed. It's not evil to be depressed. It's not abnormal to be depressed. It's normal. So the very first thing I want everybody to understand is if you're feeling a bit down right now, you're not going crazy. You're just like everybody else. You're quite norm. And Justin in the chat says, mental health will drive you crazy. Yes, it shall.
Oh, boy.
And with the whole COVID and the restrictions and everything that so many people are having to deal with, a lot of the interactions that we normally have that help pull us out of depression have been curtailed. It's been harder to get out and go shopping or
Hang out with friends,
have a cup of
stress
coffee, go bowling, a pint,
wonderful.
whatever it is that you normally do to
Blow off steam and unwind
exactly
has been forbidden.
Yes. Yeah. So I feel like we're in the first part of the movie Footloose. All the fun stuff is gone.
All right.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so we're kind of holing up and not able to, get out and do the things. And it's okay to be feeling down a bit, honestly. And if you're stressing about it, don't. Sometimes vitamin D, D3, D2 are good. Vitamin C is good. Zinc is good. Sunlight, as much sunlight as you can, is good. And it's easier to get a handle on your depression when it's small in the month of January rather than having it hang on for the next several months until summer, or the stuff that's been hanging on since last summer are still dragging you down. Don't be afraid to reach out first off and talk to a therapist if you need to. There's a lot of telehealth nowadays, at least here in the U.S., where you can phone a friend or phone a therapist, and it's not a bad thing. If you need the help, reach out for it. Um, it- During depression, often our bodies don't deal with it well. Maybe your sleep patterns are disrupted. We can kind of, so what? What difference does it make? So the self care kind of goes down the drain. Um, you might not have the energy to get things treated, kind of like the flu or pneumonia. And if you're feeling a bit down, stop and think about, are you getting enough exercise? Are you spending time outside? Are you getting enough sunlight or vitamin D? Um, like here in the Pacific Northwest, often vitamin D and sunlight can be complicated. It's the sun goes away for long periods of time during the winter. They are doing some studies nowadays where they're showing that depression can lead to inflammation in the body. So if you've got an autoimmune issue and depression, you're kind of getting the double whammy. So, look at what you're eating. And I know that it is hard to eat healthy, especially if you're not able to go out to eat like you used to do, or going to the grocery store is more of a struggle than it used to be. You stop and look at the food you're eating. Are you eating too much sugar? Too much bad for you carbs? Too much bad for you oils? What is it that you're putting into your body as far as food goes that you don't really need? So, lay off the sodas, guys.
Soda.
Soda is not as good for you as you think it is.
Soda is so bad for you.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's one of those things that should be a treat, not a staple. Make sure you're drinking enough water. So liken the body to the element of earth, and water as well. Water. Are you drinking enough water? Remember, we are mostly water. And, think of yourself as a plant with depression. What do you do if your plant is sick? Well, you make sure it's got plenty of water and you give it some nutrients. So, if you are feeling kind of in a funk, don't be afraid to reach out to someone. Again, sometimes as a loved one, sometimes as a friend, sometimes it's a coworker, or, call your doctor and say, hey, I'm just feeling frustrated and depressed. I had to go see the doctor here a couple weeks ago, and they have a questionnaire they ask you. It's like, hey, do you feel down and depressed, or do you feel this, or do you feel that? I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. I'm feeling down. I can't go do the things I normally do. And so I had the depression talk, which wasn't really intended. And it's like, do you feel like you're a danger to yourself or someone else? Like, no, that's not the issue. It's just
Only when they piss me off.
only when they're driving. But whatever it is. But yeah, it's take the deep cleansing breath and drink plenty of water. If you don't like the flavor of water, which I understand, I've met those people. Add frozen fruit to your water. Frozen fruit is really, really good for you anyways, or fruit is good for you. The natural sugars are better for you, and it gives you a little bit of flavor to the water, and, tastes good. Air is often associated with intellect and thoughts. So what kind of story is your depression telling you? What do you have any self-beliefs that are harmful that you're thinking of? Like I said last week, if you're getting ready to say something out loud to someone else, hold a mirror up to yourself and ask yourself, is that something that you would like said to you? If not, kind of stop and think about, why do I feel like I have to say these things or type out these comments that are so negative to someone else? Is it going to lift them up or bring them down? And if it's to bring them down, well, why? Why are you putting it out there? Why are you putting that negative energy out there? If you're constantly telling yourself that nothing's getting better or going to get better, or you're feeling that hopelessness or sorrow or something like that, again, don't be afraid to reach out to your mental health practitioner. Your doctor knows someone. And if your depression is just really beating you up, find the music. For me, the music I like to clean to is often, I can't believe it, oldies and classics that were contemporary 20, 30 years ago, which I just can't believe Poison is considered classic rock these days. But, stuff that I can sing along to as I'm sweeping or vacuuming or dusting or whatever it is I'm doing to clean because, I'm just like rocking out to the music. If that's piano concertos, that's what you should do. If listening to Bach or Beethoven gives you the warm fuzzies, okay, fine. If, some other form of music is your preferred type of music, listen to that. Singing bowls. Those are good. Bells, those are good. So, find what kind of music helps you to focus on the positive or on the good. And yeah, sometimes that means even though you're just vexed and you can't deal with it and nothing makes you happy, listen to a crazy rock song and scrub out your bathtub or your kitchen sink. It's just, you take that one step forward and the next step is a little bit easier. It's not always easy to get started, but once you step forward, the following step is a little easier. With fire, it's something that's often hard for those who are feeling depressed deal with because they don't have the strength to deal with it. Often engaging the will is associated with fire, and so like if you don't have the energy because you just don't have the will to get out of bed and take the shower and put on the clean socks and underwear, brush your teeth, that's a tremendous act of will. And so for those that have never experienced the depression that keeps them from doing those things or the health issues that keeps you from doing those things, it is a tremendous act of will. And often it takes someone giving you that burst of energy, that burst of fire to get your butt out of bed to take that next step. And because once you break the habit of not getting out of bed or not, brushing your teeth or whatever, you can move forward. That next step again is easier. Or maybe you just feel stagnant and you do need to light the candle and get the different smell going in your home, your place, or you need to open up the window and let the fire from the sunlight come into your home. I used to keep my curtains drawn all winter long to help block out the cold breeze because this is an old drafty house. And this year I've kept the curtains open with an extra layer of plastic on the windows because I wanted that light to come in because there's just something refreshing about that awesome sunlight coming in. And it makes you feel good. That's why the cats lay in the sunlight, or the dogs, or the kids, or whomever, If the dog is laying in the patch of sun, grab your pillow, lay down next to the dog. Kick him out. Take over the spot. Soak up the sunshine. And spirit, sometimes you do just need to call on the deity or the sacred to ask for help to get through the down cycle that you might be experiencing. And remember those the help that you might receive or the nudge that you might receive is not necessarily going to be a shout. It may be just the quiet little push or the cat sitting on you and purring, or the dog putting their nose under your hand and saying, "Hey, I want to go. Let's go for a walk. Do the thing." Even though you don't want to go for the walk, but if you don't, the dog's going to pee on the floor, and that's your urge to get up and go outside. Because who wants to clean that up? So yeah, just don't be afraid to call on your spirit guides or the deities you work with. just because they will give you the nudge. They will give you the help that you need. Just remember, sometimes it's a quiet one rather than a big loud shout. And don't forget to say thank you when you do get the help. A little bit of appreciation goes a long way. And when you do get your butt in gear and you're trying to figure out what to do, reach out to your priest or priestess and find out what kind of self-healing ritual that you might be able to do at home for yourself. Or if you don't have something at home that you can do for yourself, or your ritual or something like that, because you don't have a priest or priestess, what kind of self-care can you do? Take a bubble bath. If you're a girl, then get a pedicure. Paint your toes.
Salt.
Epsom salts are fantastic for you. Oh my goodness. Splurge a little bit on yourself once in a while. Often it'll make you feel good. And when I say splurge on yourself, that could be buying the random soda, treat yourself to an ice cream, go to the rock shop, buy a crystal, have an herbal tea. Nightshade says, tea, yes, have a good cup of tea, have a good cup of coffee. Call someone that you haven't talked to in a long time, or write a letter to someone that you haven't talked to in a long time. Because if you're feeling a little down and frustrated about things that are going on, odds are pretty good you're not the only one that you know that is going through that same thing. So send out 10 cards to your 10 closest friends and see what happens, and start that card chain and of positivity. And often is that little thing that suddenly is like, oh, hey, this is fun, this is good. Do a Zoom get together with your friends and make cards and send them to each other. Not everybody has to be crafty to do that. There's all sorts of kits you can get. Or channel your inner 4-year-old and draw your own. For the longest time, my baby sister made her own cards, and it was just like a piece of notebook paper folded in half, and she would draw stick figure type picture on the front with something that would say, or some sort of saying. You open it up and there's another stick figure with some other saying and stuff. And even though it was like, really, she drew me a card, at the same time she put energy into it and thought into it, and it made me feel good that she cared enough to make me a card. And sometimes that personal touch shows that you care enough about someone else that even if you're not sending them the highest quality work, you're not Van Gogh, but you can still send something that is personal to you and shows that you care about their well-being. So hey, I'm thinking about you and I hope you're having a good day. Send a text. If you don't want to send a card, send a text, send a Facebook message. And again, sometimes it takes just a little bit of a nudge to get the ball going. And once that first step is taken, the next one's easier. And sometimes your battle with depression is being seen by others, and the steps you take inspire others to take their own steps. Justin, you're funny, and no, that's not my way to give somebody else a job. He suggested getting things waxed. No.
Okay.
But yeah, get a pedicure, get your hair done. Now, granted, not every place it gives you the opportunity to do that. So maybe it's time to learn how to give yourself a pedicure. Now, you make a sugar scrub so you can, scrub your toes and your feet. Learn some of those crafts on how to make those self-care products rather than going to the salon and paying for the extra chemicals and having someone else do it for you. So yeah. Mr. Don, what do you suggest for depression? Besides ice cream.
Well, that actually took it right out. Yeah, I just think positive thinking. This too shall pass, and
Hmm.
just remember, there are warmer days coming where you can get out and enjoy.
Yes. Yeah. Or, now's the time to research the hobby that you want to take up. Um, let's see. Vinny asks a question. Dark Night of the Soul. Um, so, Dark Night of the Soul is an understanding amidst the absence of meaning. So, it's kind of a. Let's see. Is there a book here? Dark night symbolizes an obscuration, and soul usually refers to an individual's true essence. So, Dark Night of the Soul is the obscuration of the true self. Um, Medium.com has information on it. I was just checking to see if there's a book. So it has more to do with shadow work, Vinny, and the parts of yourself that you've repressed, your fears, your traumas, your desires, your beliefs, the things that you want to believe, but for some reason you've chosen not to. So, for instance, would be someone who's called to paganism and feels that's the right path, but has been living in a Christian household for a long time, and they kind of put that part of them in the closet and or in the box and shove it under the bed and ignore it as much as possible. And then when they have the opportunity to explore themselves more, trying to find that desire again and what it means, and accepting that part of you that's been repressed. Sometimes or it may be the desire to be with a specific someone, or your sexuality, or I don't know, your fears. Maybe you're afraid of the dark, afraid of spiders, afraid of heights, whatever it is, your fears. Trauma. I've been hit on the head a few times. Fell on my head when I was 3, 4, something like that. Got hit in the head with a car. Had a chunk of ice fall on my head, so that would be trauma, physical trauma. Then there's emotional trauma that comes from like abusive relationships, that kind of thing. So it's a process, and if you're going to be doing the Dark Night of the Soul type work, I hope you will also be working with a therapist at the same time, because a lot of it is a lot deeper and further within self than some of the things that are surface. So periodic or episodic depression that happens like in January after being in winter for so many months and darker and all that is often short term. Longer term depressions and such that come from childhood traumas or fears or phobias, parts of yourself that you've repressed, that kind of thing. Yeah, you probably want to have a therapist or a counselor, someone who can walk you through that, because the deeper shadow work is often traumatic in and of itself. So, Bomber says a lot of us are going through that whole process now because they're in denial, making excuses. But it's a perfect time to face those skeletons in your closet or those inner demons. Yes. Yeah, there's been a grand awakening, I think. Especially, I've seen it through for the last couple months. Since solstice, I think there's been a significant uptick. Also, it's just people are starting to notice the other energies out there, and what else is there, and in part it's because we were locked down for the last 10 months. That introspection that we generally don't have time for, we haven't had a choice. So, as we move forward, we're just about done for the night, guys. You know, plan out your year. What do you want to accomplish in the coming year? Journal it, write it down, plan it, figure it out. And then, what are you going to let go of as we move towards Imbolc and you want to sweep away the negative energies and just the bad stuff that we've got hanging around, and it's time to let go of. Because, yeah, you don't need that weighing you down. 2020 is a whole new meaning nowadays. It's not clear vision, it's obscured vision. And so if your hindsight's going to be 2020, it's time to put away the dark glasses and open your eyes so you can move forward. And yeah, it'll be a process, but I think we'll be stronger for it and be better for it. So that's it for tonight. We'll see you next week on Friday at 9 p.m. here on TFR and YouTube. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And we shall see you next time.
Good
Have a
night.
good night, all.
Bye.
Oh, Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.